All right. So we finished chapter 1. We looked at what an assurance, whether we actually explained what the concept of assurance. We looked at elements of assurance. So now let's look at the end of chapter questions. Let's see as if we actually understood. So if you took your time to look at the end of chapter, good for you. And I would advise if you did that, right? Before you actually look at how I actually attempt such particular questions and how the examiner will look at your answer. It's better we actually learn how to structure our answer so that we actually get the marks. So the question reads, auditors are frequently required to provide assurance for a range of non-audit engagements. So the requirements state 5 elements of an assurance engagement, 10 marks. Give reasons why it is not appropriate to give an absolute assurance, 4 marks. Give 3 examples of assurance and non-assurance services as professional accountants may be engaged to carry out. So 3 of each, right? So let's look at the first one. They're saying that state 5 elements of an assurance engagement. So when they say state, they just have to mention. Although for 10 marks, it really doesn't seem that they would just require us to mention. So just to be on the safer side, you would just make a little description. Because if there were 5 marks, I should have said that maybe just what? State, right? But because 10 marks, I feel like 2 marks for just stating is just outrageous. So just a little bit of explanation will actually guarantee you to get marks. So remember 5 elements. We said that for us to easily remember, we should use the mnemonic crest. Right? This one is basically criteria. So we can talk about criteria, right? Criteria. So we can just say these are standards or benchmarks. Standards or benchmarks where the conclusion is based, right? Because when we are making the conclusion, we should know that we will actually base it on a set of criteria. Have they actually satisfied the criteria, right? So the conclusion will be based on these standards or benchmarks, or when the auditor or when the practitioner is actually evaluating the subject matter, you actually use this as a basis. That's basically it. Crest. Then the last one, this one is report. So report is just basically it's a conclusion. So you just say the conclusion, right, made on the subject matter is presented in form of a report. Presented in form of a report. It's just basically the report. The report is just basically the conclusion, right? Then we have E, evidence. So we know the definition is basically any information that helps to draw a conclusion. So yeah, in simple terms, that's it. But the definition, we say that any info that supports or refutes. That's a premise, right? Or an idea. Right, so basically that's the evidence or any information that helps draw a conclusion. That's evidence. So we have crest, we have S, subject matter, right? This is the item or issue under review. Item or issue under evaluation. Right? And lastly, T, right? It's three-party relationship. Three-party relationship. Right? So parties to the assurance are practitioner, this is the expert, then we have intended user, and lastly the responsible party. Three people. That's the three-party relationship. So basically that's how you're supposed to answer that question. Going to the second one, give reasons why it is not appropriate to give an absolute assurance. We said that we can never give 100% assurance. Why? Why cannot give 100% assurance? For 4 marks, basically have to generate at least 4 points. The first one is lack of precision of the subject matter. Lack of precision of subject matter. Right. We said that most of the subject matter that we are going to be evaluating will not be exact. There will be an element where the preparers will have to make judgments. So because people are making judgments, right, there will be lack of precision or exactness, right? Because judgment is actually subject to subjectivity, right? What I think, right? What does the other person think? We can never think the same stuff. That means we can never give the same judgment at the end of the day. So because the subject matter lacks precision, then we can never give 100% assurance. That's the first one. Time scale. Right? Time scale is because we're saying that these engagements are actually what? Are done in a shorter time, right? These engagements are completed in a shorter period. Why do we complete in a shorter period? Is to do with financial constraints, right? We do not have the financial muscle just to do everything, right? So basically, that's why we are gonna do things to do with sampling and whatnot, because we don't have the time in the world to do the work. We have a limited time. Another thing is because of the nature of evidence. Nature of evidence used, right? So or gathered, right? Most evidence are persuasive rather than conclusive. I talked about Persuasive, these are evidence that make you believe, while conclusive, these are evidence that actually based on facts. I gave a silly example, but I hope it actually makes you understand what persuasive mean and what conclusive mean. Not conclusive, not conclusion, conclusive. So basically, and lastly, we can talk about use of sampling. Right, use of sampling, we can also add that one, right? We can use, because in the book there are only 3, but you can also use a use of sampling, right? You can talk about that. You can say that not everything is what tested. So they use sampling. They pick a number of items to test, right? I told you that because of the financial constraint, we cannot test everything, right? So we'll make a sample and make a conclusion. Just because we have sampled, we haven't done a full test of everything, then because of sampling, we can never be 100% sure. Maybe whatever we haven't tested has something wrong. So we can never give 100% assurance. That's why we can never give an absolute assurance. Going to the last question, they are saying that give 3 examples of assurance and non-assurance services an accountant may be engaged in. So we're talking about assurance here, right? And here in non-assurance, a common question, right? So we need to talk about 3. So the first one here is basically statutory audit. Right, we'll talk about the statutory audit. That's the first one that we need to be familiar with, the statutory audit. All right, the second one is review of PFI, prospective financial information. PFI, review of PFI. That's another you can talk about internal audits. You can talk about value for money audit, environmental audit, all those. Environmental audit, value for money audit. Those are assurance. While non-assurance, we can talk about compilation of financial statements. We can do that. Compilations of financial statements, tax returns. We can also help them, advise them on tax planning. Right? So some of the items that accountants actually can do, those that are non-assurance are those. So 3 we're supposed to actually generate 6 points. So basically, this is how you're supposed to answer such a particular requirements in the exam. Short and concise, but hitting the nail on the head. So thank you very much.